My first question for you is, how do you think your leadership style is different as Patricia Graham and different from some of your male counterparts? Because we see a lot of leadership styles in our business. So can you give me your thoughts on that?
I genuinely love my team. Like I believe that wanting their success, the steps that I've taken to help them grow beyond their role into different departments within the dealership shows them that I truly care about them. The other thing that I think is a little bit different is that I'm genuinely available to them 24/7. Whether I'm at my desk, at a different division, in a meeting, they can text me, call me, email me, and they know that they're gonna get a response. And if I have to take, 5-10 minutes and spend time and genuinely listen and care about their concerns, I feel like that shows them that they're valued, gives them confidence to try new things, gives them the ability to push beyond their current roles and their boundaries, and leads them to be more successful.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you've really demonstrated that, and I think your staff really feels that, and that is amazing. I think you also have a really collaborative style. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, 100%. So we use all of the tools available to us 24/7. So we've got, Microsoft Teams has really come up in our group in the last couple of years. So we have group chats with everyone. We talk about the service specials. We get their feedbacks when we're putting new promotions together. If they're talking to the customers, because the BDC is the front line for customers who are dealing with our customers on the day-to-day basis. And so they hear what our guests are saying. So we always want their feedback on if something's working, if we should change a word track, if customers maybe like one aspect of a special but want to make changes to it. That feedback I don't think can be understated.
Yeah, that's a great point, because a lot of your staff, in fact, the vast majority of your staff, unlike other people's staff, is at home. And I think actually you've done a terrific job at using your resources and skills and tools and love, frankly, to keep connected to these folks, because that's become so difficult now that everyone is working remotely. And I think you've done a super job of keeping them feeling, in the family. In fact, we often we refer to our staff a lot of time as the family, rather than our team or colleagues or what have you. And you've done a terrific job of keeping everybody connected and engaged, because that's super tough. So my hat's off to you. You've done a great job there.
Thank you very much.
So my next question is, do you feel that you experience resistance? I'm a little reluctant to use that word, but I think you know what I mean. Resistance when leading your male counterparts, especially those that might be, same level senior, not junior people, but people that are, maybe managers or different levels kind of thing. Do you feel that?
I did when I first started, truthfully, probably for the first 6 to 8 months when I was in my role. I think because they didn't know me and I was a bit of an outsider and they didn't know my background or what I'd done in my career, because at one point I was a BDC agent, I was a service advisor, and so I've had a lot of experience in the industry, but they didn't know that about me. I do think that it took a little bit longer to get buy-in from the men versus the women. So I think they were a little bit more ready to get buy-in. And when I first started, there wasn't a lot of women in leadership roles, especially in the service department. And it's been really exciting to see that change and help those women grow.
We've seen a lot of change.
But it was tough. It was tough for the first 6 to 8 months, because I really had to prove myself, show my capabilities, show what I could do with my team and how to mold it. And only after I had proven myself did I feel like I had the buy-in. And now I can go to them and get anything done, pretty quickly, but it's because they trust me.
Yes, agreed.
And it took some time to get there.
You have a really nice style too, I think, with a lot of these guys, where my style is a little bit more like a hammer. I find you're a little bit like a shark in that you have a way of getting your way in a very sort of gentle style, which I think has really worked to your advantage.
I like to lead them to the idea, make it feel like we agree on it, even if I know right away that this is the best way to go. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Sometimes we call that leading from behind. So you're leading, but you're leading from behind. So good for you. That's worked well for you, I think.
For sure. In your career, have you felt at any point that you've had resistance from your peers or your subordinates or even the vendors, because you've had a really long relationship in the automotive community?
I would be lying if I said that I haven't felt resistance, because this is a male-dominated business, and it's just numbers. There's so many of them, or there was at one time. Things are changing, thank God. Progress is happening. There's so many men versus women per se, but the other way, I've kind of trained my brain to think about that being a woman in being a woman in a business where there's not a lot of men is actually an opportunity So it's very easy for me to stand out. So I've embraced that as an opportunity versus a challenge. I also think in our business, just when I was selling cars and dealing with vendors and things like that, people want to deal with women. They love dealing with women. They think we're more approachable. We tend to be, organized on it, keep commitments, those kind of things. So really, it is really an opportunity. So I think we have to think, we have to make or help our young women to think that this is not a detriment, it's a plus. And if you embrace it and really run with it, that it can really help you grow your career. But you really have to be willing to, in another way, act like men. And by that, I mean, be fearless, put your hand up. Don't question your capabilities. Don't question your, can I do this? Where men are very, very fearless. And you and I see this all the time, right? Like we often tell our young women, think like men, because men don't hesitate to say, give me the job. I need the promotion. I can do that job. So I wish our young women would think more like that.
I love that you said that, because that's one of the things that I've learned from working with you in the last 4 years. I feel like I had a little bit of that in myself, but you really helped me bring that message to my staff, right? I do have a lot of young women on my team. We've actually seen some of them take some big steps in their career, even in the last 6 months.
Fortunately, yeah.
And I think because we've been able to say to them, even if you don't feel like you have all of those skills right now, you're smart, you're talented, you're hardworking, you're going to be able to develop them.
Yeah.
And having, I think, 2 women in leadership roles, showing them, 1, that you can be successful in the industry, but 2, that if you believe in yourself, if you've got the support, if you've got people rooting for you 100%,
right,
even when you moved into that next role, you can be successful. You just have to not be afraid to take that next step.
Don't be timid.
Exactly.
That's what we always tell them, don't
100%.
be timid. Timid doesn't work.
Yeah, especially not in automotive.
I think their natural tendency, our nature is different. We're a little bit more, not us, we're pretty fearless at this point, but women as a general rule, I don't think they do hesitate to give an opinion or just speak openly and candidly, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think to compensate for that, they've learned other ways to have their voices heard, and it's not a bad way, is to come prepared with evidence, with, having done some homework.
I would agree. I would say, like, stepping outside of the automotive industry, even going back to, like, when you were in school or when I was in school, you've always been taught to come with as much facts as possible.
Right.
Again. And yeah, I do think that there's some differences sometimes in how men are raised, because there's an expectation of what type of careers they're going to go to and how they're going to lead their households. And I do think that the world has evolved a lot in the last couple of decades.
Right.
And will continue to evolve. Just looking at, my nieces, nephews, and these young people coming up behind me, that we're going to move into a place where there's going to be more of an even ground and people are going to have an opportunity to get their voices heard. But there's definitely a difference there. Yeah. I think.
An organic difference.
Yeah, 100%. Even just from what you're taught from a very young age on what you're capable of and what fields are open to you and how you're going to be able to evolve.
Yeah, definitely.
And you sort of have to, I don't want to say self-correct, but I think...
I think you do.
Right?
I think that's actually a good word choice. Right? You do have to self-correct.
Yeah, and I think it becomes easier as you get older and you become more confident in yourself and you learn who you are as a person and your style of speaking and how you get ideas across. But I've done a lot of reading. I've listened to a lot of really, smart people, smarter than I am, who've been really successful. Right. And listened to their stories and how they presented ideas and how they've gotten things across. And I think continuing to do that and learning and growing as a person, all of that ties into becoming a successful leader and continuing to grow your career and to continue to move. But you also just can't stay the same. Right. You got to continue to evolve. And if they're not listening to you say one thing, then you just got to change how you say it and say it again.
Change it up.
And if they don't hear it that time, change it again and say it again, especially if you got a really great idea.
Yeah, agreed.
What is the most dangerous trait? Being hesitant or not speaking up in meetings. Right. Especially when you have a valid point. You're not going to win every conversation. Right. You're not going to be able to persuade everyone to your style, but you can't lose your voice. Yeah. Right? And if you get to a point, because in this industry where it is male dominated, 9 times out of 10, you sometimes, maybe not 9 times out of 10, but you do sometimes have to speak twice to get your point heard. Yes. Right? And that can feel, especially when you're a new manager, that can feel, difficult. You can feel defeated and pushed down,
Right.
but you got to not give up. You got to keep pushing the message. You got to speak twice if you need to, but allowing yourself to stay quiet, to lose your voice in those meetings, I think that would probably be
Right.
the thing
Yeah.
that I would say.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, it goes back to what we were just talking about. Don't be timid.
Yes.
I do find that often women can, not to, I don't want to say this in a way that disparages men in a way, but a lot of times women know how to read the room and they have really good ideas, and yet they're timid to speak up to their ideas, or if they've done it and it hasn't been heard, you do have to really be persistent in having your voice heard.
Yeah.
And I mean, think of it this way, everybody benefits. If we come up with the best solution, everybody benefits, everyone in the room. So, women are smart, and they need to just keep pushing that message forward and looking for more engagement. And we can do that by helping to continue to support each other and encourage each other in doing that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
How did you navigate power structures early in your career versus later when you've had more of a formal leadership role?
I feel like I'm still navigating them.
I was going to say, I don't think that ever really
That
goes
never goes
away.
away. Yeah.
I think I'm a little bit more tactful now.
Right.
When I first came up in the industry, it was very like most young people. I had a lot of ideas and I had a really big voice, but I didn't always approach it in the best manner.
Right.
So I would go to the person in charge and say, "Here's my idea," and I didn't present all the facts the way that I was supposed to. I just knew this was the best idea and that I would be able to prove it.
Right.
And now I base everything in fact first.
Yeah.
And I become prepared and I take notes and I speak to my peers. I think that's a big one. I will get information from you or another member of our team and I'll tell them what my idea is and we can maybe role play it a bit more.
Right.
Right? I think that has helped. I think building relationships has helped a lot in navigating some of those power structures.
That's a great point.
And being able to speak to other people who
Yeah.
have been there and tried to navigate the same thing. I didn't have that when I was younger. I didn't know who to go to or who to speak to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. Is relationships are so important, and you're really, I think our whole team is really good at that. They're very, very collaborative. We're always looking to other people's opinions, and you pointed out something really important as well. Preparation and evidence.
Yeah.
A lot of times we say, having an opinion is one thing, but making decisions based on evidence and doing homework and being prepared, nothing makes your case better for you than that. And women tend to be very, very good. I need to work on that, but women, as a general rule, tend to be very, very good at that. But yeah, collaboration and working with people is really the key, I think.